Hello Raptors, and welcome back to the letter. Welcome back, guys. So in the last episode we left off where Marianne met Rebecca in the library and where they hit it off as besties. Yay! Okay, but anyways, since the last episode things were getting really interesting, I want to see what happens next as well. So let's get into the letter, guys. Okay, I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Cheerio.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know, I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? Things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that even? There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of those people who seem to be larger than life. As it looks, I'm on the clock starting today. I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street's food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marcus de Sade's The Crime Club. I don't know how to pronounce that. Since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. Rebecca left with the book of the history project? No, the history of Ermengarde mentioned or something like that. She left with the book. I don't know. I forgot. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I've read this one before along with the rest of his work. This would be the 18th time, in fact. But it's always nice to read through it again when I don't have the time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they just end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marcus advice.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
Don't make me say that in French. I do not know how to pronounce that in French. Now, how to say that in French. Don't make me say it. Don't make me say it. Please, guys, don't make me say it. The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation unlocks the bone branch isn't too far off the city either. Center, just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity, no doubt. There will be so much to do once we get the hands on the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Still a lot better. I don't think so. Nope, I don't think so. Nope. Surely, no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and the preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I'm quite certain that in their haste to sell the property, they did rush the job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do despite how it is frowned upon. There'll be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. You don't want to do that, I'm just saying. You don't want to do that. You seriously don't want the lady to be after you again. Nope. Structural integrity is definitely on top of the list we still have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but is centuries old. That alone will pose a few problems here and there, but limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest this with snobs, they can pay rather handsomely. So as long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always make sure that referrals keep coming. I don't have to hunt down projects for myself. Okay. I guess we are in the Briar Corporation then. This is the part where Rose is still alive, guys. She's not dead yet. She will be, but she's not dead yet. When I do go up to the BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get it's Saturday that people possibly feel tired and lazy to be working on the weekend, but they're still on the clock and not bumming out about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually a 2x2 meter cubbycle. There's a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Prirapter projects. During the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that though. Everything is as quiet as a grave. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. Oh my god, there's the spook Isabella again. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes in through the door looking as if she's just seen one. She looks at me wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. Is Rose dead yet? Is she dead now? That just because Isabella is spooked? What if it's something personal? I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Probably.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know?
Okay.
But it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
No, don't be a douche to Isabella. She's nice. She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards the station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, but it does take a bit. Time spent to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
Usually.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. Probably should talk to her like you did with Rebecca. Why did I call her Roxanne? Rebecca. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games. Hey! They're not mindless addictive games, they're stress relievers. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Batcat thing during workout. Batcat? And I really need to know what that game is.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint.
Yes.
Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Aw, she looks kind of happy now. Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Okay, that's the floor plans. And now I want to find the first thing I want to find is where the freaking thing. Where's the attic? Attic! Where are you? Attic? If I was an attic, where would I be? Definitely not on... There it is! Second floor, attic. There are two attics. There are two attics. There are two attics, guys. I don't know which one. But if it's an invisible spooky attic, that wouldn't be it. It wouldn't be on the map. But anyways. Checking out the floor plans, I see that I'll have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found Central Park West building floor plans from that one movie. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobean style at its finest. At its finest. It's a thing of beauty, I can speak. Look at these gorgeous rooms, the delicate harmony between empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these ones.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger.
Really, were they now?
Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem. And it is an old house.
Yeah, but you don't want to check the house out, especially the attics. There had been little details here and there that I would have liked to address during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos' incident and the trouble with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I shudder to think that sort of repairs they did to it in the first place. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms and hidden away in barrels. More damage could have been covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all. And if there's any sort of damage to a house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work. Okay. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin could have made their nest there. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of this place is staggering, even if I did just say it was a lot smaller than I thought. I might have been biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to...
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
Why do
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous. And even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John.
And you don't want to be left alone with the lady, don't you? And is Rose still alive? I want to ask that.
I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
Come on. I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. It's babbling. If babbling is her way of dealing with her stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. You have something to say? I don't have time for this. I want to listen to you. This is obvious. Let me save it first. Always save the choices now. That's what I've learned now. You have something to say? I gave her time to speak up. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
An embarrassment creeps upon her face. I snatch one of those coffees from her hair and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record. It must be fun what you do.
Sure.
You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that.
Well, it's something that she can understand and that you shouldn't be a douche about, Marianne.
But if you put it that way, it is fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
Especially that one particular painting where, what's the name? I keep forgetting the characters' names. Why do I keep forgetting their names? It's, look, Hannah. Hannah, that's her name. I knew it. I knew that was her name. Shut up. Anyways, Hannah saw that painting, and when Luke saw it, and when she saw it, it completely disappeared. There was nothing there. It was a mirror. It wasn't a painting at all. So I think she's talking about that painting, but we can't be absolutely sure. But let's see. I didn't expect to hear such questions from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt then why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion despite the little accident she had. Now, she just looks too young, too nervous and unsure of herself, although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced the way she is at the moment. Why, watching her now, she actually looks like she should still be in college. Acts a bit like it too, when I think about it. I thought she was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there, lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the estate agents handling the property. Surprise, surprise! I don't even know what to make of that. Meltdown that happened with a strange document? The letter! Not a document, the letter. If I were the client, I would have been very upset. She'd be in hot water for it.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
Okay.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Sure.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
Were you then?
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
Maybe I took that a bit too far. She bites her cheeks and it looks like she's barely holding herself back.
It's not like I had a choice.
What'd you say? She mutters it under her breath. I barely even hear it. But the hurt is there, and it makes one wonder what brought it on. Although it is understandable if her reasons why I think it is. Very few people make it big in the art world. I can see why she'd upset about it with that enthusiasm. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was that or years of unemployment, the recessions and the toll it took in the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else. Something else it is. It's a ghost lady. Please tell her, Isabella. Don't keep deciding before she looks at the letter. But the world isn't a fair place, and the sooner she accepts it, it's the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Nice.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
She doesn't have any paintings. She's been looking at creepy ladies. My hair.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
Hey.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it.
Aw.
The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about.
True that. There's some truth in that.
If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
Yeah.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid.
You should.
Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else.
That's some very decent advice, I must say.
That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable. Then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
I didn't mean it like... Marianne, why do you have to be such a douche?
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
A strained air settles in the room afterwards. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave, as she said, lingering awkwardly by the door with the downcast expression. It's clear there's more she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life. Or is she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? It's an awkward affair, and I choose to hightail out of the reality office as quick as I can. Reality office, sorry. Reality office. Oh, it's already nighttime. Nice. Though I'm able to keep myself professional at all time doesn't mean I like it. And seeing that most of the day has already gone by before I realized it, I chose to head back to my flat instead. Despite today being a Saturday, no fun, but at least this way I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be saying whiskey, Luke that is, in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest of the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work for the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. October 24th, Monday. Here we go. Soon as it was night, it became day. Monday couldn't have come any sooner. After taking the floor plans from Miss Santos the other day, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling in my suppliers. Although no design choices have been made yet, and I'm quite sure that they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did, this rich types, based from experience at least. Given how badly the whole thing started, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of their other building tenants takes the elevator up with me. It makes me feel self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me, and I'm sure she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm safe from being paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. The rights lived at the very top of the penthouse. Creme de la creme. I know, I can't. When it comes to condominium and urban living, just getting access to this place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks just to secure a keycard. Not only because of building management, but because of Wright's personal security. It sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime and not visiting a client at their home. You soon will be. Even with their personal assistant called in to help out and verify my presence, the process aggravated rather than hastened. Speaking of the devil. Oh, it's the butler. I forgot his name too. Damn it. The elevator door opens and I'm greeted by none other than Whiskey's not so little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon.
Alrighty.
I'm surprised to see you made it through security. And only 5 minutes late.
Yeah, no thanks to you, dude.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
Hey, don't change the subject. Come back in and tell me define soon. Define soon, butler. Forgot your name. Johannes, that's his name. Johannes, come back here and define soon.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
You slacker. He shows me to the car before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups and all sort of other things in preparation for the tea. I ignore that animosity towards his employer that his words implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people don't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes or even 10. I sit in the living room just waiting, and when the kettle starts whistling and the tea has been served, I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spilled tea all over my lap in surprise and look up, expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking and I don't want to be the cause of the burnt food of ours. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I am normally not this nosy. I want to check it out! Wait, let me save it first. I'm going to save everything. Check it out! The crash came from the hallway and I really shouldn't be snooping about. But it isn't just concern, yeah? Concern that urges me to check it out. Sneaking a glance at the butler, I consider sneaking off, but...
Excuse me, but where's the loo?
Where's the loo? He barely looks at my way before pointing at spatula towards the hallway. It's a good excuse as any. But if I'm caught lingering longer than I should just excuse myself and say that I wasn't sure which door led to where. Nice. Oh shit. Can I go back? I think I made the wrong choice. Damn it. I think I made the wrong choice. Still looking into the hallway reveals nothing, and I don't see anything that might have caused the crash. The hallway, like the rest of the place, is in pristine condition. There are several doors for not only the toilet but also presumably rooms for the butler and for other members of the staff. And I stand there, however, something felt definitely out of place. One at the door, the nearest within my reach, sends ajar, and from the side a light flickers insistently. It could simply be a light bulb that needs replacing. Or it could be the lady who's doing the flickering. Ugh. Inside I can spy a radio lying on the floor. That's probably it, right? Maybe one of the help in a hurry to get out of the room knocked over it in the process. If that's all it is, I should really leave it alone. As I turn to leave, the sound of static fills the air and a man's tiny voice interrupts the silence.
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead.
What? Why am I still standing here?
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
Yeah, that's so peculiar how that happened, right? This seems familiar, doesn't it?
Authorities are investigating the possibility of foul play.
Foul play? Foul play? Like I've heard it before.
Reporting from St. Samthins, Shane McLaughlin of Galway Bay, AM.
Holy sh... Fucking douchebag. Oh my god. I recall backing away from whatever that was. Oh my god. I wasn't expecting that. Oh jeez. In the process, I trip backwards on my feet and I wait for the pain of the falling flat on my back. But instead, I feel a hand on my back and see a smug smile of, well, guess who? Whiskey!
Oh, don't tell me you're reporting to work drunk, Mint.
Of course, I know exactly who that voice belongs to. I just have to be him.
Marianne McCullough, hammered on the job. That would be something.
But as if I had been burned, I push him away from me with a deep scowl on my face. Even the slightest touch makes me sick, and the smug smile on his face makes me want to come in contact with him, if only to break his nose with my fist.
Is that any way to say hello to a good friend?
Sure.
We aren't friends. Let's get that straight first off, Mr. Wright. Secondly, you're a married man, so that thing that happened shouldn't have happened.
You should keep it on the down low then.
Oh, come on. Don't tell me it wasn't even a little fun. A bit of a romp never hurt anybody.
But does your wife know about it?
No, it wasn't fun, and we shouldn't have done it. But since we did, let's pretend it didn't happen and never speak of it again.
Sure, like it'll go away that easily.
I was drunk and had no self-control. Don't I get a free pass?
I have work to do, sir. I want something more than to punch the fucker and show him what for, but I have to remind myself to stay calm. No matter what I feel for this man, no matter how much I want to cuss him out and spew every profanity in the book and then some, he is still my client. I don't imagine the blocking off one of the more influential persons of high society would go well with the rest of my usual clientele.
It doesn't matter. I have work to do. I'm here to do my job, and if Whiskey has any ounce of sense in him, he'll know not to bring up this matter.
Yeah. He must have some sense, right?
Or else what? I can't take that statement seriously without one of those.
Apparently not.
Whiskey will know not to bring the matter up, or else he'll get what's coming to him.
Probably should call him by his Mr. Right instead of calling him Whiskey and provoking him.
No, still not convinced. You tried, I suppose. Plus points for that.
The dead air between us, because it can't be anything else but that, is broken away by a lovely voice calls out from the loft.
Marianne! I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long.
There she is.
I know we agreed we'd start at 10 o'clock, but mornings just simply do not agree with me. Not one bit.
Me too.
It's been like this since I've been in university.
It's 5 minutes to 11 o'clock. This high-end client should like to be fashionably late. I'm used to it though, much like how I'm used to so many years of hearing people mispronounce my name. Besides, greeting or correcting my client would be extremely impolite, and Marianne doesn't sound too bad when she says it. To be fair, it doesn't seem like she's late on purpose.
I see you're up, darling.
Is that the
You know,
same
you
necklace?
could have woken me up as well.
That's not the same necklace.
Were you showing Marianne around? Not that there's much to see. This place is so tiny compared to the mansion.
Yes, it is. I'm more worried about the way she stares at me, judging such a look. It doesn't suit her pretty face at all. Hey, don't look at me like that, really. Just seeing Mrs. Wright reminds me far too much of her. Who is her? I really like to know. Maybe I'm starting to hear her again and seeing her again when I shouldn't. I should have left it all behind, forgotten it. To think she would be looking at me that way, I can just feel my hands trembling.
Oh yes, just showing her around and getting to know each other. Isn't that right, Marianne?
Ah! Come on here.
Yes, of course. And your butler was making breakfast a while ago. So if you want to get right to that...
Breakfast would be lovely.
Okay. Guess you're having breakfast. There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to their table. Though it is too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny the invitation. Pancakes! But not cupcakes! Besides, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. A bowl of clotted cream, fruit, syrups, jams, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making for a colorful arrangement. If this was a brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. But as it is, I accepted a few pieces of pancakes and topped it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables?
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and... Whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I think I do.
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there?
Nope, I don't think so.
Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC. Oh, as well as the old owners.
Okay. Oh, the old owners? I never...
Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
Okay.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it.
Sure, let's not dwell on anything.
First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is. But at the same time, I want modern appliances.
Okay.
You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence.
Can we arrange?
I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Decor?
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Okay, this seems to be a lot of talk.
Splendid!
Not that I'm complaining.
So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
The voice acting done in this game is pretty amazing at some point. I stop. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. I would have words! This isn't the first time or place for it, however. Instead, I used a brief pause to pull out the floor plans that I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
What's the little room next to the master bedroom? I want to see. Oh, that. Isn't that the attic?
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts. Used, apparently, for the ladies-in-waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde. Which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Okay.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit.
God damn it. Give Johans a proper living quarter.
You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion. But do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet.
Oh,
Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
Kylie, guys. Kylie is the girl who spoke to. Kylie is the guy who spoke to Zachary. I remember him. Now it makes sense.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room. And you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
Really?
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie.
Damn.
So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
There's a theater? Oh, there's a theater.
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
That's why it's called a ballroom.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
There's so much conversions going on over here.
For? You can park your cars outside.
What about that room? Right there, in the northeast corner.
Northeast corner?
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Oh, that is perfect. Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
Probably.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
But did you know there was an attic there?
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Damn.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again. Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless.
Hey, look at that.
He'd come over to my
He's blushing.
home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too and I'd dance and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano? I can't imagine. Me too. Okay guys, that's all the time I have for this episode. So when we come back in the next episode, we're going to see what happens when they take the tour of the mansion themselves. But that being said, thank you all for the love and support. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. Peace.
Legends never die.